Hi. I just finished an afternoon of judging scholarships for UCLA's Alumni Scholarship Award. And I've done this for 4 years, but today was the first time that I participated in some of the interviews that were done remotely, meaning by Skype or by phone. And it's a very different experience in some ways, with some tips that apply for you even more so than in-person interviews. And these tips I'm going to give you work for interviewing, whether it's for a scholarship or admissions or a job or a research project. There's some good tips across the board that I want to share with you right now so you or your student can ace the interviews. So here's one thing that's really important. Regardless of whether it's in person or on the phone or by Skype, please be careful of the use of the words and those filler words. In our scoring sheet, we specifically looked at, it was one of the things on there, how much filler words, how much does a student use filler words, as I use bad grammar, how much does a student use filler words to take up time and actually detract from their point? And I have to tell you, every single student that my group interviewed today used filler words. Now to different degrees, but they were there, and they're so distracting. They really minimize the great points some of these students were making. And as I've always said, filler words, some of us use them sometimes, but the less you use them, so much better. Because filler words, especially like and especially like, that's my pet peeve. They really detract from a student or anyone's intelligence and commitment and passion and sincerity. You're much better off just pausing. Take a breath and pause. Especially if you're doing it by Skype, still look at the interviewer, look into the camera. If you're doing it in person, still look at the people you're talking to and just sit back, take a pause. A pause is fine. We expect you to take a breath before you answer the question. And certainly as you're communicating, it's fine to pause, take a breath. Much better than filler words. Another point also is make sure you're answering the questions asked. That's kind of more of a more obvious one. And here's a really important point. The students on my score sheets, the students who interjected more about themselves, their goals, their accomplishments, their personalities, their challenges into the existing questions, I really rated that really high. Anything that showed self-awareness, reflection, goals, I was really all about that. And the questions we asked were 5 questions. They were given 10 minutes to answer all 5 together. Some spent more time on one than another, no problem, totally fine. But they were open-ended, which meant the students had a lot of room to show more about themselves and a lot of visibility and time to show more about who they were, way beyond the questions. And how they interpreted the questions became really important. So in interviewing, make sure that you're answering the questions and revealing as much about yourself as fits the organization or the cause you're aiming for. Here's another point, especially on remote interviews, but even when we're on campus, I always look for this as well, because sometimes I'm here for the on-campus part of these interviews, and this time I did it remotely, as I said. What the student wears, what the candidate wears is really important. It suggests how important you're taking this. Now, admittedly, these are only 10-minute interviews, but you're trying to get $20,000 as the top prize. Please dress the part. No t-shirts, no halter tops, dress the part. If in doubt, dress up. Dress more professional than you think the presentation calls for. Whether it's an interview or a job or research position, dress up. Dress up the part. And also, really important, now, unfortunately, because of tech issues, we ran late on some of ours. So keeping to a schedule, I can see that we might have thrown some of these students off schedule. Sometimes we asked, were we late for you? And the reason I asked that question was because I was looking very carefully at where do the students choose to conduct these interviews. So some were in quiet offices or quiet dens at their house. Great. But one student was at his friend's house, clearly playing video games. Not cute. Doesn't make me want to give you $20,000. Take this seriously. And also, really important, kind of obvious I would imagine, but we had a big challenge today because when the students were submitting their contact information for us to reach them for these interviews, they didn't do such a great job about it sometimes. Some were great. Some gave their Skype address, Skype ID, whatever that Skype thing is called, and a phone number. That's what we asked for. That is perfect. Because sometimes we had trouble connecting and then we could call. Some people didn't give the proper Skype address. So that cost us time. That was partly why we were delayed on some of the other ones. but it doesn't set you up in the best light. Give your best information. If you're not sure, then get it and then put that on the form. And definitely give all the information, all the contact information possible. So the students that we had troubles with reaching by Skype,